In this video, we're changing the front brake pads on a 1988 Honda Shadow today. First thing to do is to get the caliper off. Top bolt is a 15mm socket size, I believe, if I recall correctly, and the bottom is definitely a 12.
This time, it's we'll get an intro going, but doesn't or would not like someone to throw their dog poop in my trash can because it's hot, to confess there, and it's a week away from being empty. And it came in.
Once you got the caliper off, there is this little clip piece here that has a bolt on it. It's an 8mm socket. You gotta remove that to be able to remove the pins out of it and remove the brake pads.
In their crib, I don't want a big pile down my trash can. So now it's just kind of weird because someone's collecting it up, and it's a load. It's multiple dudes, right? So then I started thinking.
Now you see me using a pair of needle nose pliers to pull out these two pins that hold the brake pads in. Definitely very different design than anything you're used to if you're working on a car. So just gotta get those pins out and then the brake pads come out. Okay, we got the brake pads out, and I'm gonna use a piece of this flat bar here and a C-clamp to actually press these pistons back in on this caliper. Now they make actual tools for this, a caliper tool. I had one somewhere, who knows where it's at. Usually something like this works. It's a little finicky. You can also use a little block of wood, thin piece of plywood, any type of thing you have to apply even pressure on the piston. And I would recommend doing one piston at a time, although watch to make sure when you're pushing one in that you're not just pushing the other one out. So make sure that's not happening. If you have a setup where you can do both at the same time, more power to you.
There's several iterations of this. I couldn't screenshot it all in once, but this one requires that you dig a 1-foot hole in the ground, and then every now and then
Mini escape hatch. Yeah, it's 16 by 16 by 9.
So I put the new rear brake pad in first and kind of got it started with one of the pins lined up, and then I went ahead and put the other one on and just went ahead and put that pin all the way through, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the other pin and put that one all the way through too.
I think there was a powder and there was a way for it to seep, bleed out of the bottom. All right. Now you guys tweet us a bunch of stuff, but don't give us lame stuff like, I call it a clothes hamper. It's a place where you put your dirty clothes. I don't know. I've seen them in Europe.
Really in the home stretch here, you just put this clip on that holds those pins in place and put the little 8mm socket size bolt back in on top of that clip to hold the clip in, and after that this caliper is going to be ready to go back on the bike.
He's 100 pounds. He sleeps on the bed, which is essentially my head. That's where my head is. That's his new move.
Now there is one slide pin here that's an obvious slide type of pin that the caliper rides on, so I've put a little bit of grease on that just to lube it up a little bit, and this is as simple as putting the caliper back over the rotor and putting the bolts back on. Now one thing to note is one of my brake pads was a little wedged in there on those pins. It was weird. It's kind of a weird thing. I didn't get the other one to go all the way back, but it's on there far enough that I could just put it back on this way, and then I squeezed the brake lever a couple times and it popped it to where it should be, so it's not that big of a deal. Don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but if you go to do this, you may run into that problem. Just get it back on and squeeze the brake lever, put some pressure on it, it'll straighten itself out.
News as far as the morning show goes. Give us that one, please.
Well, it's been a little bit of a crazy week that our morning show was being.
And then when tightening these bolts down, you don't need to super crank on this stuff. I mean, I hear about people stripping stuff out, just, pretty snug. You don't gotta put all your weight on it.
Monday didn't say anything. Tuesday made the announcement. It was a horrible show, just in terms of emotional, exhausting.
Where are you going? 2.5 years?
A year and a half.
Oh,
Years.
felt like
No thanks. And it was
you know what I
very.
did?
Yeah.
I started adding